We've grown 9,000 members in Pride Network over the last 8 months. And we wouldn't have been able to do that if we didn't call people out. We'll call people in, call people into action, call people into advocacy.
All of these wonderful women up here, everybody is willing to give back and share to help everybody else grow as well. I don't know the actual numbers, but we do have a very, very large female presence in our technology team and then across the corporate company.
If you have somebody in your life, like they mentioned yesterday, if they are not supporting you, it is time to cut the dead weight. And the Women's Impact Network here at EXP is cutting dead weight, and we're rising up together and finding our leaders. And as we grow this massive, monumental moment within EXP, I want you all to know that this is the smallest room you will ever be in.
Hi, everyone. My name is Noor Marzouk. I am the Vice President of Global Marketing and Communications at eXp Realty, and I am so excited to be your host for this week's Win Wednesday. Every Wednesday in the month of March, we are talking to some real estate powerhouses at eXp Realty, and I am so excited to be hosting this week. This is all with the eXp Women's Impact Network, and if you are not sure what that is, it is a group of women in real estate at eXp who have come together to be a safe haven for all of us, to have really great discussions and conversations, not just for women, but for advocates of women. And if you haven't joined, we encourage you to be a part of the eXp Women's Impact Network. We have a screen right now with a QR code linking you to the workplace chat, to our Instagram handle. It's an amazing space where women share their thoughts, their leadership, their encouragement, and we just welcome you all to join us. And today's Win Wednesday, I am so excited. It's a truly international Win Wednesday today, with our first guest being from Canada, a dear friend of mine, a 5-time Icon agent, Jennifer Jones.
Hi, I am so excited to be here today. And Noor, what a pleasure and an honor truly to be speaking today for WIN. I just think it's so exciting.
I'm so excited to have you here, Jennifer. You are a dear friend of mine. We met years ago backstage at an EXP Con, and you haven't been able to get rid of me since.
And nor would I want to.
I love it. Nor, I love it. Nice cut. I love it. I love it. So I wanted to start with a little fast rapid fire questions to get to know you a little bit better. So are you ready for them?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Both.
Okay. Early bird or night owl?
I want to be an early bird, but I'm still drawn to being a night owl.
Okay. I love it. I'm an early bird. Your dream travel destination?
I would say the dream would be space.
Space. Okay. We'll go back to that. Your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
I would say reading a book or some kind of amazing Netflix series.
Okay. Are you watching anything right now?
Currently, I am watching SEALs with the Navy SEALs.
Okay.
There's a lot of seasons. It's going to take me a while to get through this.
Okay. Well, you got it. You've got this. Okay. If you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing?
Running an animal sanctuary.
Okay. And we'll also could get back to that to hear a little bit more about your background before you got into real estate. Okay. A book or podcast that has changed your perspective?
I would say Power of the Subconscious Mind. And that was written by, I believe it's Dr. Murphy back in like the 50s. So it's a book, but you can also listen to it on YouTube as kind of like an audible.
Okay. We'll have to write that down and drop it into the notes in this session. So one word to describe your leadership style.
I would say fluid.
Fluid. Okay. Your most used emoji in your texts.
Smiley face. Because I have a lot of D, so I've learned I have to soften or go back. Like, so where I would, let's say, give a direction to somebody, like we need to get this done. Now I go back and add good morning and then a smiley face to make sure they understand the tone, right? That it's not just a D.
Right. And tonality is so important, especially with texts.
Right?
Yes. It can be, perceived in any way someone wants to perceive it that way. So
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
That makes sense. Your favorite motivational quote?
I would say the Zig Ziglar quote, help others get what they want, and essentially you'll get what you want, right? So the idea of like really serving others at a high level and being focused on them. And as a result, you also achieve your dreams. So within your dreams are big enough to support everybody else's. So yeah.
That's a beautiful quote. Okay, last one. If you could have lunch with any woman in history, who would it be?
I would say a woman in history. That's a great question. I would say someone like Laura Secord or what's her name? The one who she was in the house in the war, in World War II. They were a Jewish family. Oh, they have a house you can visit, and I've lost her name. Yes.
Anne Frank. Got it.
Anne Frank. So I think Anne Frank as well. That would have been an interesting one.
I love that. Okay. Well, thank you for going through my rapid fire questions.
Yes. Absolutely.
These are really great, fun ways to get to know someone. But this is all about you, JJ, and I call you JJ. But let's start with your title, Circus Master. What does that mean?
Some days I feel like I am literally it's like a circus, right? There's like clients, there's agents, there's things that happen. And so it's entertaining. You have to look at it as entertaining and fun, right? And then just problem solve as things come up. Like in a circus, your elephants aren't always going to do what they're supposed to do, right? Someone's going to fall off the trapeze. Like stuff happens. And so adjusting and making the best of it and using humor to do so.
I love that. And you run one of the most successful teams, not just in Ontario, but in Canada. So tell us a little bit more. If you guys don't know JJ, tell us a little bit more about your background, because you weren't always in real estate, but what were you doing before real estate and how did you get into real estate? So
I was actually right before real estate, I was in horse racing. Mm-hmm. So totally related, right? So related. So I was a trainer and an owner. So I was racing all over North America. So that was a lot of fun. And then the industry got to a point, particularly for Ontario, the slots weren't doing the payouts with the wins. So it stopped supporting the business. And so I got out before things kind of, took a dive. Right. Prior to that, I've always been involved in horses and teaching people and working with them. And we were actually buying and selling real estate as well. So buying and selling real estate in Sarasota, Florida, as well as then Keith and I started doing it up here. So buy a property, renovate, our principal residence, resell, and some others. So it's so related and so not related, Nor.
Yeah. No, I can imagine it. And I love hearing your stories because you have such a vast, background, and it's not always been real estate, but once you got into real estate, obviously you have such a successful team. But it must not have always been a huge success from the start, right? So what are some of those lessons that you learned as you built and grew your team?
Well, I think I never had a plan to build a team, right? Never. And I think I only got to a place of building a team because in my third year of real estate, I made that 1.1 million gross commission income on my own. And, it's like 100 deals. So that becomes difficult to keep providing that really quick response and high rate of service for a client. So I only started a team because Anna came to me, Anna Valenciva, who's still with me 8 years later.
Wow.
I've been in the business since 2014. So she came to me and said, when are you starting a team? I want to be your buyer's agent. And she kept saying it over and over, right? And so finally one day I said, fine. Yeah. Okay. You're right. I need help. And it kind of grew from there. We had people that started approaching and asking to be part of it. But when I originally did it, I'm a generous person, as you know. I love giving without expectation of return. That's just kind of how I am. And I thought that the splits that some of the teams had were pretty steep, right? I was like, oh, they're really retaining a lot. I think they could give more to the agent, right? So I went ahead and set that team up the way I thought it should be set up without considering the fact that all these other people had been there before me, particularly in the States. There wasn't really a lot of teams within Canada at that point. Mm-hmm. So I brought all these people on, and we made a lot of money that first year as a team, and I lost personally $150,000. So I had to go back to everyone and say, I've made a big mistake here. Like, a total onus of responsibility on me that I set this up the wrong way. And I get it. You guys are all profitable. That's awesome. High five. If I don't adjust our splits, we have to fold the team, right? So everybody stayed on for the most part. I think there was like one person that ended up leaving, which now he's since come back, which is really cool. And it was more that, like, I think just understanding you don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's lots of times to be creative. However, I actually looked at it and said, okay, who's doing this well? So there was a team at the time that was the top within the brokerage I was at, and they'd done 2,400 deals in a year. It was a lot.
Wow.
Like 8 years ago. So I actually had my office manager, Sarah, who's still with me today. She's also a licensed realtor. She went down, and I had her shadow the team and then bring back everything they were doing. They generously share with people. Mm-hmm. So she came back, we implemented everything, and it's kind of been rolling since then. Like, we make certain adjustments along the way, but I use that, green light, red light, right? Like, is this working? Or after 6 months of trying something, it's not actually generating business or adding value in the way that we intended. So red light it goes, right?
Yeah. I think that honesty and being vulnerable is so valuable in business. And sometimes it's viewed as being weak, right? For a woman to be vulnerable or to share that there's, a mistake that was made, or, I wanted to go a certain route and it didn't work. And so really being able to showcase that vulnerability with your team and still having everyone stay with you, that must have felt really great, right? And that just showed that there's so many different avenues and reasons to be a leader and different ways to lead. And that's a really important part of it. Yeah. And I think that it's about being authentic, right? Yeah. I know we hear this over and over again, but that's the truth. If you're, if you believe you're perfect and that's the way you lead, you don't allow for the real growth of other people because they can't be honest, right? And even, sitting in big team mastermind groups, I talked to a bunch of leaders over the past, because the market's been tougher, and that's worldwide for 3 years since February 22. And finally getting that honesty from the team leaders with, yes, I've put in personal money. Yes, I've cut back my salary, like all the things that they've done to keep that business floating, keep their people employed, keep their agents going. I think is pretty admirable. Like, people say, oh, team leaders, they're just starting a team because they want to make money. Well, if you do that, it's for the wrong reason. The agents, the team agents that have led these teams and stuck it out through these kinds of markets, like, this is one of the worst one they've ever seen, right, in terms of real estate. So I just think, kudos to them, and kudos to the people that are honest, right, and are willing to share for the learning of everyone else, because we're not helping each other if we're just like, oh, everything is awesome, it's so good. I'm a positive person, I'm optimistic. Yeah. And there's also, it's like, okay, we need to face reality, and then we reframe, right? Then what I believe, whether the market goes up or the market goes down, I outperform the market. So that's always been my mentality, but also
okay, you know what that means from a mathematical standpoint? You know, we have a GCIcalculator.com that we created for our team, right?
Yeah.
So I can actually look at that and say, guys, remember how you used to be able to make 120 dials to one appointment, and then out of 4 appointments, you would get 1 deal? Well, now you need 480 dials to get the same appointment, right?
Yeah.
So it's more like double down, triple down. And so that importance of, you know, not to stick your head in the sand and ignore everything that's going on, but to understand that it's just math and mindset, and then lead from that place, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I love what you said about, you know, being in masterminds and really sharing a lot more than just everything is, you know, everything is great and there's no, you know, issues or concerns with what's going on in the market, and really being able to learn from others. So with that, you know, what advice would you give to women who are looking to step into leadership roles based on all the things that people have poured into you and all the things that you have poured into other people? If there's, you know, one piece of advice that you would really give to someone today who's looking to go into a leadership role, it doesn't have to be in real estate, but just leadership, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think if I look back, like there's so many teams that bring on people and they say, this is the bar and this is where you must be. And that's so great. Mm-hmm. But as women leaders, we tend to be more empathetic, and also we're using our intuition more. And I feel like if you feel that and you can sense that this person has that potential, maybe they're younger, maybe they're going through things, then, you know, really being honest with them and having them be honest with you, and then guiding them through and understanding it may take them a year to 4 years to 5 years to actually overcome whatever it is to get to that level of success. But then you're a part of their journey, right? Then you're changing lives. It's not just cutthroat with you didn't hit your numbers, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's intuition and empathy. Those would be the 2 strongest traits of a woman leader. You have to have high social EQ to understand people and what's going on. And if you don't, then, you know, spend the time learning, reading. It's interesting too, because I asked Glenn Sanford one day, I said, you know, who have been your mentors, right? Mm-hmm. And he said books. It's basically like it's authors, it's books. And if you think about it, like that is so brilliant, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of just relying on someone, he's taking the best from all the different areas and learning directly from those amazing minds. So I thought that was very insightful.
Yeah, that's a really unique way to look at things too, right? Because not a lot of people think about it from that perspective, right? They'll think about one person or, you know, one person that, you know, you have to have like a really strong or smart answer for those types of questions, right? But, you know, books, that's really unique in that it's not just from one person, it comes from so many places.
Yes.
And I think that that's really important. And, you know, part of what I have loved since I've met you is we always talk about, you know, intuition and, you know, sensing things and feeling things and having those discussions and really tapping into, you know, that third eye, right? Of, you know, how are you feeling? What is going on? You know, why, thinking about the reasons why things are happening or the reasons why you're feeling a certain way and not ignoring those. And I think that that is a superpower for a lot of women, you included, right? So you have really helped untap that for me, you know, through our conversations. And I've really personally have always just enjoyed learning from you and being around you. So from me, I say thank you because I've learned so much about, you know, being a woman in leadership through you. So I feel very lucky. And for anyone who gets to know Jennifer, you are also lucky, you know, to have her in your presence because it is very true. You pour into everyone with no expectations. And I think that that is a very rare and beautiful thing. And you are a gem for that. And I know we're running out of time. So I do have one last question for you. If you could sum up your journey in real estate in one sentence, what would it be?
Just progress, not perfection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just like understanding everyone's on their own journey. You're on your own journey, and it's about you fulfilling what you intended for yourself, like as your spiritual being having a human experience. So if you try to copy and follow everybody else and measure yourself against them all the time, you're going to feel awful, right? So stop scrolling so much on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and all those things. Make sure it's like a disciplined time. And then also assessing, how do I feel when I'm doing this? How does this make me feel? Do I stop and put down the phone and feel great and feel better about myself? Or do I get off now going, I need plastic surgery. I need, right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the importance of we are our inner beings as well, right?
Yeah. I think that's a strong lesson for real estate and for life.
Right.
So yeah, I think that that's an amazing way to sum up things and end our conversation. But I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today for Win Wednesday. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I cannot wait to see you very, very soon.
Absolutely. I love you, Nora. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure.
Thank you. My next guest, who I am also so excited to be speaking with today, is the managing director of eXp Realty in Dubai. So please join me in welcoming Dunya Fadi. Hi, Dunya.
Hi, Noor. How are you?
I'm good.
For
How are
having
you?
me.
Oh, I'm so excited to be talking to you today.
Thank you. Thank you. Same here.
I want to start with a couple of rapid fire questions with you. So I did this with Jennifer. It's just a fun way to get to know each other, or to get to know you. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I think I know some of these. I think I know some of these answers too from just getting an opportunity to know you myself. But coffee or tea?
Coffee. Oh my God. Black coffee.
I thought so. Early bird or night owl?
Early bird. I do believe when you wake up in the morning, you get to catch the good fortune, you know?
Yes, I agree with you. I'm definitely an early bird. What is your dream travel destination?
There's so many and very confusing because I love the beach, but I'm a city girl. So I would say, honestly, I love New York City. I just love the hustle and bustle of that city. So I would say that.
Okay. What is your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Sitting alone, closing the door and talking to no one, to be honest.
That sounds perfect, actually.
Yeah, that's dream.
Okay. If you weren't in real estate, what would you be doing?
When I was a kid, actually, I wanted to be an astronaut, but it seemed to be very difficult. So I think if I wasn't in real estate at this age, I would be a forensic investigator. I love
that. I too wanted to be a forensic investigator. So we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that offline.
Yeah.
What is a book or podcast that has changed your perspective?
What is what? Sorry?
A book or a podcast that has changed.
A book or a podcast?
Yeah.
I've read so many books, to be honest. When I started my career, I've read many. So I've read everything that everyone recommended. The how, to win friends and influence people, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all your typical books but nothing really impacted my life other than real experience as you go through it.
Okay. I love that. What is one word to describe your leadership style?
I want to say empowering. I like to empower people around me and have them and see them win.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see that from how you work with your team as well. So that is very true. What is your most used emoji in your text?
You know, the one with the face, hand on the face like this. Oh my God. That one. That's like, what is this?
Do you have a favorite motivational quote?
I use one. I don't know if it's a quote by someone, but I always say, if you don't ask, you don't get. So if you want something, you ask for it. Don't sit and, wish for it to happen.
That is very true. Okay, one last rapid fire question. If you could have lunch with any woman in history, who would it be?
My grandma. I really miss her.
Okay. I love that.
I grew up looking up to her. You know, she was very organized, very disciplined. As an old woman, to be honest, with little education that she had, she was a very disciplined woman. I think I've got inspired by her, and I'm only realizing that in the late years lately. So yeah, I would love to meet her.
I love that. And so you grew up in Morocco, correct?
Yes, in Casablanca.
In Casablanca. And then you are now the EXP Managing Director of EXP Realty Dubai. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got there.
So I have been in real estate now for 20 years. I mean, this September is going to be exactly 20 years. I joined the real estate scene in 2005. And I only fell into it by default, to be honest. It wasn't my dream job. I didn't like study to say I'm going to become in real estate or something. But I was visiting Dubai, and my friend was here working and living on her own. And she was working in the stock market, not in the real estate. But then I thought about it. I'm like, maybe I could also work and study here. You know, I finished my high school. I did 1 year back home. And I'm like, maybe I can be independent too. And I'm like, okay. And I really put through a couple of applications in university. And then a friend of mine helped me put 3 CVs because, you know, they said, look, the freehold law just got announced in Dubai in, I think, 2002, 2003. And there was huge demand and the whole city was transforming at that time. So it made sense. It was really big sector.
Yeah.
So that made sense, to be honest. And then that's it. There was no going back. It was 1 year that I was a property consultant. And then the year after, I was asked to be a sales manager and found the company for a friend of mine. And then I stayed in this domain and couldn't do anything else, to be honest. Every time I try to do something else, I get pulled back. So
that's amazing.
I'm glad I did because it's been a great career.
I love that. So, I mean, I lived in Dubai from, I think, 2017 to 2019, and it was so well developed and established by then. But
already,
in 2004, I feel like being in Dubai would have been like a real estate playground, right? Because everything was under development. You know, what was your experience like starting out in real estate in Dubai at a time where it was booming?
It was, look, I was lucky, to be honest, because we had very little new developments. There were many as per Dubai that time, but there were very few. And I was able to learn all of it. Like I was lucky that there wasn't what it is today, because today, honestly, to become a real estate agent here, it's okay, great, you make money, but it's so much to learn. At the time, I've learned what I could, and then I grew with it. You know, I grew with the city. My career, my knowledge, my everything, my experience was like side by side with the city's growth. And that I consider very lucky, because when I see today's projects, I now can't keep up, to be honest.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, speaking of learning, what were some of the biggest lessons that you've learned as a woman in business and in real estate?
Oh, a lot of lessons, to be honest. When I started, it was quite a male dominating. It is still now by statistics in general, but we're seeing more and more women, you know, in leadership. Not as many as we would love to, of course, but there are. And there are, I think, even in Dubai, like investors wise, right now we saw 34% women investors. So it's changing. However, when I came in, I used to walk into every room and like, it's all men, right? And I'm like, okay. So I had to really be confident. I had to know my stuff. I had to, because the first look I will get is like, oh, who's this young girl who's coming, you know? And I was very young. I looked also very young. So I needed to know my stuff. And any investor would look at me and like, oh, I'm not going to put my money with her, you know, until I speak, and I speak sense, and I have knowledge, and I really do my job very well. So the lesson I've learned is basically, you know, just have the confidence to prove to everyone around you that you're capable of doing what you are set out to do.
That's amazing. And so obviously being in a market where it is male dominated, and you might have been the only woman in the room. And I know that, you know, you said that you learned your stats and things like that. How else did you stay ahead to get to where you are today? You know, do you have any advice for, you know, women who are coming into the real estate world, or, you know, feeling a little bit intimidated? You know, what advice would you give them to make sure that they're successful?
For me, I will always vouch for knowledge. You know, you may not have it at first, but you can acquire it. And it's very important to keep up with the evolution that we are seeing in terms of whether it's a normal knowledge that you should have about the project and what's going on and how to, you know, negotiate and how to do your paperwork. And you need to dot every corner. You know, you cannot leave things loose or go to the client not knowing your things. And the second thing is the prop tech, right? In terms of technology, the evolution that we're seeing, the reinvention of how business is being done on daily basis. Things are, you know, challenging and changing. Staying ahead of that. For till now, I can do trainings. I will enroll in anything. You know, for example, I have Coursera, and I would follow some courses and do that. If someone messaged me about some training that is coming up or workshop, or I just signed up to advisory board training as well, official, like certified training. I am always seeking knowledge, because if I don't embrace the change, I would be obsolete. Sorry, that's the right word. But if I don't do that, then I would be disrupted, right? And we don't want that. We don't want that. I do that for me and for my team, you know, because it's my also a responsibility to keep them up to date. Right now, you know, with even our marketing, the way we do marketing has changed. The way the client wants to receive the information has changed. The way they consume information has changed. So there is no other way but equipping yourself with knowledge constantly. And one very important advice is, because we have to learn new things, sometimes we have to force ourselves to unlearn old ways.
Right.
Because we're trying to learn new things, but we're still holding on to the old style of doing things, right? We have to unlearn in order to make room for new skills, for new knowledge, for new approach, because otherwise you'll remain behind, you know?
Oh, I agree. And, you know, it is really scary to try and unlearn things and learn new things, right?
Very difficult, yeah.
Get super comfortable in a way of doing something, but you know that that's not going to last and work forever. And I think living in Dubai, in a city that kind of takes that mantra for everything, right? Like, okay,
every day,
everything, right? We built the largest mall in the world, so now we have to build a bigger one. Or, you know,
but you know who I compare Dubai or Dubai's leadership to?
Who?
To Glenn Sanford.
Okay.
They have very many things in common, to be honest, because he's always like ahead of everything. He's always bringing something new to us. He's always like, no, don't use that. You must use this, because this is the new, this is the, you know, the future. This is the technology that you need to have. So, and he also his approach is very similar to the leadership of Dubai. So for me, I always find common areas or ways to compare them together.
That is a very good analogy and very, very true. And I think that for anyone who's lived or visited in Dubai, you will automatically understand that analogy, because it doesn't matter how many times you go to Dubai. If you've lived in Dubai, you know, if you don't go down a certain street for a week, something has changed, right? So
I go for summer holiday and I come back, and I literally can find the way to my office has completely changed. This is like a true story, I swear. Like I used to go straight to the office. Now I had to go all around, because why? They're building a beautiful bridge because of the traffic and stuff. So there is always change. And again, something I always say, Dubai's competition is Dubai itself. I don't look at the region or the global cities as a competition to Dubai, because Dubai is way ahead in terms of many things, you know. So for them, it's themselves. They just wake up in the morning, it's like, okay, this road is no longer, you know, feasible or managing the traffic well. Let's make it better. This entrance to this project is literally like there's a waterfall. Okay, let's change it. Let's put more greenery. It's just amazing. And this drives us, basically. This inspires me. Every morning, I can't just wake up and do nothing. I have to wake up and keep up with the speed of the city as well.
I love that. And I was just about to ask you, have you taken living in Dubai and seeing the growth of Dubai, and, you know, how does that impact your business and your thought process?
It impacted me personally. I don't think I would be this kind of person if I didn't live in Dubai. And a lot of people who come to Dubai and they have very laid back attitude and all, they get nowhere. Otherwise, if they don't catch up, if they don't change their attitude. And I've seen lots of brokers come and go because they couldn't keep up, right? But the people who really are positive, they have the positive mindset. They really embrace what the city is all about. They keep up with the speed of the changes. They are winning right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, did you always find it easy to keep up with the speed? Did you find it difficult? What kind of challenges did you face as you were kind of evolving through your career?
So look, so Dubai as a city is new as well, right? It's only like more than 2 decades as far as I'm concerned in terms of freehold and, but of course it goes back decades ago. So for me, it was that they had to change, right? I saw that change going from the beginning till now. Where I really saw the change, it's COVID, post the pandemic. There was so much agility from the government that they understood the situation so quick and they were way ahead of it. They managed it so well. I was so lucky that I was in the UAE during this pandemic. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the world, because actually I was flying during March, just when they announced the pandemic or COVID as a pandemic. I was in the US and I had 5 flights in 1 week. And I could see the whole world was panicking. But then I landed back home and I was grateful that I was in the UAE because they managed it so well. So I've seen really positive change since the past 4 or 5 years. But Dubai, again, always been adapting, right? We are welcoming people. We are more than almost 190 plus nationalities that live in Dubai from different cultures, backgrounds, religions. So it is very important for them to create that balance and tolerance. And it is very tolerant, by the way. I mean, you've lived here, you understand, but it's become even more tolerant and more friendly and more business friendly as well, because of the foreign ownership and because of even in terms of tech, the incubators that we have around, the funding that we have available for the startups. So it's changing. And for me, that eased that challenge of because the regulation would always make things a little bit difficult to maneuver, but also you could see that they are adapting it as we go. So I'm not too worried when I get to a dead end. I'm like, okay, they'll get to it and they will fix it. Right. And that's really what's happening.
I love that. And I know we've talked about freehold a couple times, but do you want to just explain what freehold is to people who are watching that might not know?
Yes, of course. So freehold is basically in Dubai or any country in the world, you're not allowed to just buy as a foreigner, right? So the country will have designated areas or locations or developments that are called freehold, which means you can own them 100%, pass them on to your next generation, no issues, nothing. So that's what freehold is. So we have plenty of those communities and areas, designated areas for foreigners to own. And as you know, we're 92% expats in Dubai already. So it makes sense that we could, buy our property and own it as investors or otherwise as end users.
Yeah. So 92%, I feel like it's, and that's what, there's such beauty of being in Dubai, because there is, as you said, so many diverse cultures. And I met people from all around the world living in Dubai, and it allowed me to understand the world in a little bit of a different way, because
it did the same to me, to be honest, because where I come from, I could only understand my surrounding, what my city had to offer. Even the other cities look different from mine. So, but when I came to Dubai, and I had so many perceptions, wrong ones perhaps, about the rest of the world. And then when I came to Dubai and I had friends from all over the world and colleagues from everywhere, and I had to interact with them every day, and clients coming from all parts of the world, I had to adapt also my way of, dealing with people. And I kind of have sort of understanding on how to deal with people from certain nationality and other people because there are different cultures, different habits, So for me, I've learned what I could learn for 1 year in my country. I've learned, it could take me 10 years in my country. It took me 1 year in Dubai.
Yeah, I agree. I understand that when you say that, 'cause I remember being in an office and just working with people from all over the world, and really having to shift my mindset a little bit when I spoke to some people versus others, because everyone just works a little bit differently, right? So it allows you to really understand working dynamics and, even just communicating with different people. and how you have to be so perceptive in everything that you do. And just like, I know we only have a few more minutes left, so I'm curious, you're a mom, you've got, is it 3 children?
Yes. 3.
Yeah. So, from as a mom teaching your kids too, like about business or even just mindset, what are some of the things that you've taught your children around even just dealing with, problems or situations or, navigating the world?
There are a few things that I really want them to understand and have a good understanding for, because I do believe strongly that it's going to help them, moving forward in their life. One is time management.
Yeah.
And that's very hard. Whoever has teenagers here will understand what I'm talking about. I tried teaching them time management before they became teenagers. Now it's kind of helping a little bit. But for me, for them, is time management, because they need to juggle a lot of subjects in their school. Yeah. They have activities, they want to socialize, they want to just do nothing. Some of them, like somebody wants to game all day. But I'm trying to teach them how to manage their time, right? Focus in a certain period of time on something, get it done, and then have the fun later. Mm-hmm. That's one thing. The focus, like when they go for an exam or something, I'm like, please don't just click and submit, revise your work, really be attentive to what you're submitting. Other things is I've started taking, I've done it a couple of times now. Initially I brought my daughter, who's 15, with me to an in-person meeting with the team that we have in Dubai, and we're like 60 people here. So I want her to see, and then the second time I brought my daughter and my son, who's 13. Why? Because I really, I asked them to dress properly and not come in shorts and stuff, and come and join us and sit and see what mommy is doing. Because I don't want them to wonder that if mommy is not home, what is she up to, or what's she doing? Maybe she's wasting time. Why is she not with us? Or why did she miss this school event that was, very important perhaps? I want them to not imagine, but to have a clear picture of what mommy is actually doing. Mm-hmm. And it was actually a very nice experience. If you ask them as well, they loved it. They enjoyed it. They got to know people outside, school and their friends and family circle. And yeah, I try on daily basis. It's not an easy task, but I try to, from my life, to pass to them. But I think experience also is very important for them. So as they grow up, they'll be learning more.
I love that. And then, okay, final question that in one sentence, could you sum up your journey in real estate?
Some people will laugh. Roller coaster.
That's good. No,
that's one word, not sentence.
Not even. I don't need a sentence. One word is fine. Roller coaster.
I'm saying rewarding. It's been rewarding, to be honest, but it has been a roller coaster, a rewarding one. A good one, in a good way. Because honestly, you have to have a lot of resilience to survive this industry. People think, we just open doors and sell homes and make millions of dirhams in checks, in commissions. It's not like that. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of hard work, a lot of negotiations. Till last minute, your deal can really go wrong. You can be cheated on your, things can go massively. So if you don't have resilience to continue, and you have to ride the ups and downs of the cycle of real estate as well. If you are someone who's taking this as a career, it's not always like this or like going up. It's up and down, and you have to embrace that. You have to understand the dynamics, and you have to grow thick skin to be able to navigate that. So for me, I call it it's a roller coaster, but it's a nice one.
Yeah,
I like it.
It's a nice roller coaster. Hopefully not too many flips and turns left in that.
I know, right?
But I've personally enjoyed working with you and learning from you, and just seeing the growth that you have been able to have in Dubai and even surrounding markets. So congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you. Thank you for all what you do, Noor, as well. I really enjoyed. The first time I met you was the Lisbon EXPCon, and I heard of the amazing work you've done in Canada, EXPCon Canada, and of course it didn't go unnoticed. And we're now handling global, which is amazing. So, and global as in North America and international. So I'm very proud to be working with you, and I always bother you if you
not a bother, never.
But you're always there and supporting. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited, and I'm so excited to see you in Barcelona. In a few short months. where we can continue our conversations and, see you continue to lead in real estate and really, help women around you. So thank you so much for your time as well. I know it's the evening for you right now. So really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you.